Hello, this is The Harboring Light. I'm Mary. I give a conservative perspective about the world around me. As I do in the beginning of each episode of my podcast, I mention social media and audio platforms. To add into this, I am on Substack, and I write on Substack as a supplement for my podcast, and that would be linked in this episode. And also, feel free to give me a rating. It would be greatly appreciated. I appreciate all the listeners out there. Thank you so much. And also, with the social media and my email that would be linked in there, feel free to reach out to me. Like to hear feedback? Thank you. All right, so audio platforms. I'm on Audible, Amazon Music. I'm on iHeartRadio. I'm on Spotify for podcasters, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Pandora, and I'm looking to grow to wherever you enjoy your podcast. I am on that. So this episode is about the 1984 song, Do They Know It's Christmas? I'm going to give my thoughts and give information about it and all of that. All right, so let's get into it. So my thoughts about this song and everything. I think it's a really good example of putting your best foot forward, and because it's all spanned out of Bob Geldof. He's a musician, from the Boomtown Rats, but he's also a political activist. He's seen a documentary and wanting to, and I'll expand on this, of course, and then wanted to see how he could contribute. And then also, from what I'm saying, it's with putting your best foot forward, it also sheds light to corruption and how disheartening and saddening this can be, and the darkness and the depths of just abysmal, just beyond narcissism, just the self-indulgence and everything else with what goes on with dictator countries, and particularly parts of Africa, the state that it's in, and parts of Africa is unimaginable. The simple things that running water and clean water. It's unimaginable that still now is a problem, and citizens don't have access to that. And it begs the question of all this corruption that goes on. And it's even, to tie this to what's going on today, for a good example of this, when Mr. Beast, just went out and did what he could to build wealth beyond, what he could. He really did, did his part, and with his team, and also I believe building bridges he did too, to the citizens in Africa, and being criticized for that, because people saying that, it's just the clout chase, and there's no good intentions behind it. He just wants to profit and just build his image. Well, I think it's better to see the actions that he's doing instead of putting unfound judgment onto it, and that might be the case. And I don't think it is the case, but at the heart of the matter, think about the service and what the impact he has and the impact it has for these people. And that's really something to celebrate and be appreciative of. All right, so let's get into it. And to add on to this, about what I was saying with Mr. Beast and his wonderful contribution to helping the citizens in Africa. These particular parts of Africa are Cameroon, Kenya, Somalia, Uganda, and Zimbabwe. Okay, so Do They Know It's Christmas is a charity single organized by Bob Geldof, who was the lead singer of the Boomtown Rats. He got the idea after watching a BBC documentary on famine in Ethiopia. Geldof wrote the lyrics and Mitch Urie from the band Ultravox wrote the music and produced the track, which was no easy task since so many voices were involved. In most of Africa, however, it's quite warm on December 25th, since it's summer there. This song asks us to think of those who are living in poverty and hunger in Africa during the Christmas season, reminding us that they might not even know it's Christmas. While the sentiment and melody are full of good tidings, the lyrics are quite bleak. For instance, the Christmas bells that ring there are the clanging chimes of doom. Most of this song was recorded and mixed over a 24-hour period on Sunday, November 25th, in 1984, at the Swarm, I believe the pronunciation for that, West Studios in London. Sting and Simon Le Bon had recorded their parts ahead of time, but everyone else came that day. Okay, so the performers who sang the verses are in this order: Paul Young, Boy George, George Michael, Simon Le Bon, and Bono. The choruses include David Bowie, Phil Collins, Paul McCartney, Geldof, Urie, and many other artists who weren't given a verse but sang the Feed the World part and lent their images to the effort by appearing in the promotional photo. The artists were not all friends, but they set aside their differences and were at least cordial to each other during the recording, with one exception. And all of this information will be linked in this episode. In the book I Want My MTV, George Michael said, the only person who didn't succumb to the charitable nature of the day was Paul Wheeler, who decided to have a go at me in front of everybody. I said, "Don't be a wanker all your life. Have a day off." In the UK, this became the best-selling single of all time, selling over 3.8 million. Elton John's Candle in the Wind in 97, which was also a charity single benefiting the Diana, Princess of Wales Memorial Fund, later claimed that title, with sales that would claim to over 4.9 million. Actually, that total to, not claim. Not everyone in the UK was a fan of Do They Know It's Christmas. Morrissey told Time, in 1985 that the project was diabolical, adding, "It was the most self-righteous platform ever in the history of popular music." This was the first of the big group Charity songs. A year later, U.S. artists banded together under the banner USA for Africa to release We Are the World, which also directed aid to Africa. Do They Know It's Christmas was the template for that effort. Geldof showed up to the session at the urging of the song's producer, Quincy Jones, and addressed the performers, telling them to get ready for the world's biggest concert, which ended up to be Live 8. U.S. for Africa had much more star power than Band Aid, which their hottest artists at the time were Bruce Springsteen, Michael Jackson, Cyndi Lauper, joining a collection of legends, Ray Charles, Bob Dylan, and Diana Ross. Geldof also sang on the chorus, making him the only non-American to sing on the track, which was recorded the night of the American Music Awards. Soon more charity singles followed, including Sun City and That's What Friends Are For. Geldof's innovation was getting famous artists together to record an original song for charity. To this point, benefit concerts were the only way to do it on a grand scale, and those could be extremely difficult to organize, especially on such short notice. Okay. The single raised $14 million for famine relief in Africa. And also to note, the BBC News reported that which prompted Geldof to action air October 23rd, 1984. Most of the song was recorded, again on November 25th, and it was released in the UK on December 3rd, then in America on December 10th. It had to be done very quickly to be ready for Christmas. All right, so this reaches the end of the Harboring Light. Tune in, turn up, and take care. Bye-bye now.